Okay, so to work this problem, this is 6A support. I'm going to show you how to do this on the calculator as well as doing this, on the graphing calculator as well as doing this by hand. But if we want to, so it says actual times recorded when statistics students participated in an experiment to test their ability to determine when 1 minute seconds had passed after shown below. Find the mean, median, and mode of the listed numbers. So to find the mean, you want to add all the scores up. So you want to take your 55 plus your 52 plus your 72 plus 63 plus 67 plus 60 plus 48 plus 48, and you want to add all of those scores up and divide by how many there are. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 scores. Okay, you don't want to type that all in your calculator at once. You kind of want to go slow, but you got 55 plus 52. I think it's best to find the answer to the top and then write that down and then find the answer to the bottom, which is going to be just one number, but then divide so that you don't type this in the calculator wrong. That's going to be your best bet. And 465 divided by 8 comes out to be 58.125. Now, I'm going to check that I'm typed them incorrectly. So I'll go back and look at my calculator screen and make sure that I've got all of them accounted for. And I do. So they said to round to the nearest tenth as needed. So the tenths place is the first decimal place. So that's going to get me 58.1 here because the 2 would not let us round up. Okay. The next thing that we need to do to find the median is we're going to need to put the numbers in order from the least to the greatest. Okay, so when I'm looking at this, to find the median, you have to put the numbers in order from least to greatest. So I see that we have a 48 and we have another 48. So took care of those. We have a 52 and a 55, putting them in order. Okay. We have 63 would be the next one. 67. And I've skipped 60, which is one of the reasons why I mark these out while I'm going. Okay, so we have a 60 and then a 63 and a 67 and a 72. Okay, now when you're doing this, you want to put all of these numbers in order from least to greatest, and the goal of the median is to find the one in the middle. So we start marking off from both ends, matching them up. The problem is with this one, we've got 2 numbers in the middle. When that happens, you need, if there was just one number in the middle, you would write that down, that would be your answer. If you've got 2 numbers in the middle, you're going to need to add those 2 numbers up, 55 plus 60, and then divide by 2. You find the average of those 2. So 55 plus 60 gives us 115. So we would have 115 divided by 2. Okay, that is 57.5. And it says to round to the nearest tenth, so that would be our answer. The mode is going to be the number that is listed the most. Sometimes you don't have a number listed more than once, so you might not have a mode. But in this case, if you look, we've got 2 48s, and so our mode would be 48 on this one. Okay, now I'm going to go over to the graphing calculator and show you how to type this stuff in the graphing calculator to find these numbers, the mean, median, and the mode from using your graphing calculator. So let me go to that screen real quick. Okay, so here's our graphing calculator screen. Let me clear out what we've got going on here and get out of this. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to hit the Stat button. The Stat button is over from the Alpha button, 2 buttons over, and also by the arrow buttons. When you hit Stat, we do want to edit, and this is what comes up. We do want to edit, so you hit Enter. And you want to type something in list 1. The things that you want to type in list 1, and they do not have to be in order, are the numbers that we had on that problem. So I wrote them down in order, so I'm going to type them in order, but to do this, you don't have to type them in order. So going through, typing all of my numbers in that were in that list that we got. There's supposed to be 8 of them, and there are, so that's good. So I'm going to hit second, quit, and just get out of that. I want to go back to the Stat button. So this time I want it to calculate something for me. So I'm going to use my arrow, scroll over, and this very first one is actually what I want, this 1 var stats. So I'm going to hit enter, and I do want it to calculate this from list 1, which is what I just typed in. So you're just going to enter through those lists. Now, look what it's given me. This thing with the X bar over it is your mean. X bar means mean. Okay, this is another interesting calculation that we have right here. This is called the sum. And if you'll remember, when we added all the numbers up, we got 465. We're not quite ready for this one yet, and we're not quite ready for this one. This is your standard deviation. We will be using that. N is the number of terms you had, so 8. So far we've got our mean. This is important that we've learned so far. Your X bar is your mean. N is the number of terms you have. Your minimum term is 48. We're fixing to talk about all this quartile stuff soon, but we're not quite ready for that. It does say the median right here is 57.5, and I'm just hitting my arrow to go down. That would be quartile 3, which we're going to be learning about shortly, and the maximum is 72. Now, the mode is going to be the one that is listed the most, and I don't think this screen is going to give that to you. So you want to use, that one's easy to come up with, the one that's listed the most, but you can find your mean, and this is really good to just make sure that you're not making a mistake. So you can find your mean here. If you scroll down, you can find your median here, 57.5. Okay, so I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to go, we had one more example that we were going to look at on 6A. So let me go back to that. So it kind of helps you, especially whenever you need to check your work. So this is the last problem we're going to look at on 6A support. It says weights in pounds of randomly selected 50-pound bags of dog food are shown below. You want to compute the mean, median, and mode of the set. Okay, well, to compute the mean, we need to add all these numbers up. So we've got 51 plus 48.5 plus 47.7. We're going to go through and add all of those numbers up. I'm going to have to come down to the next row. And then we want to divide by the number of numbers we have. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I am notorious for writing this down or typing it in and typing in something wrong, which is one of the reasons why I really like to be able to type these in on the calculator. So I'm adding up all of those numbers. And you know, the calculator is as good as the numbers that you type in. So you need to go slow enough where on both ways to do it, that if you're typing these in, you're actually typing in the right thing. So I always go back and look at my screen again and make sure that I have actually typed in what the numbers are. So 51, 48.5, 40, it takes a little bit of extra time, but I sure don't want to miss an easy problem just because I typed something in wrong. So I'm just eyeballing this. Okay, it looks good. So we're going to divide by 10. When we do that, we're going to get 49.71. They want us to round to the nearest hundredths place, so that's good. I can leave it like this. Okay, I'm going to scroll down and just make sure that we're on the right track. Now to find the median, we have to put the numbers in order from least to greatest. So if we're doing this by hand. So I'm seeing I see 47.7 looks like the smallest number. Okay, I've got several 48s. I've got a 48.2 and a 48.5. If we moved up to 49, I've got 49.5 and 49.7. And we've got 50.2, 50.5, 50.6. We've got 51 and 51.2. So those would be my numbers if I put them in order from greatest to least. So remember that when you're looking for the mean, you're looking for the number in the middle. If there is one number in the middle, that's going to be the answer. If there are two numbers in the middle, then you're going to have to add those two numbers up and divide by how many things there are. Okay, so I'm going to mark these, one off the front, off the back. That's going to help me figure out which one is in the middle. So it looks like we've got 2 in the middle, which makes sense because we had 10 numbers. So to find the mean, we would need to add those 2 up and divide by 2. Okay, getting 99.9 divided by 2, 49.95. That would be our mean number of pounds. We're rounded to the hundredths, which is the second decimal place. The mode is the number that is listed the most often. I don't have any number that's been repeated, so this is an example where we do not have a mode. Okay. Let me pull this up on the graphing calculator so I can just make sure that give you another example of this on the graphing calculator. Okay, so we should get a mean of 49.71 and a median of 49.95 when we do this on the graphing calculator. So I'm going to go to get out of this screen. Remember that you go to Stat, which is by the arrows. We do want to edit this list. Now, I already had some things in my list, so you can use your arrow, scroll up, then hit clear and scroll down, and it'll clear that list out. So you highlight the L1, hit clear, and then hit down, and it'll clear that list out for you. So we want to type in 47.7, 48.2, 48, and again, I put them in order because I did this manually, but when you're doing this on the calculator, you do not have to put them in order. It'll find the mean and the median without you doing that. So that's kind of nice. Still, you know, you have to type in the right numbers. So if you accidentally type something in wrong, you're going to get the wrong answer. And that's not the calculator's fault. So you want to kind of probably after you type your list in, go back and eyeball it. Make sure you've got all the numbers that you're supposed to have there. So I'm supposed to have 10 numbers in this list. And I also want to go through and kind of compare, are the numbers I typed in the actual numbers, because it's so easy to type something in wrong. Okay, and so this says L111 down here, so I know that I've typed in 10 numbers. It was getting ready for me to type in the 11th number. So if I scroll up and I just eyeball my list, make sure that every number in there is what it's supposed to be. Just takes a second. Okay, they look good. So I'm going to hit Stat. I'm going to go over to Calculate this time. And I do want to hit 1 vars, so I'm going to hit Enter, and I'm going to go down that list, and it's going to tell me, right, X bar, this X with a line over it, X bar is the mean. It's 49.71, which is what we agreed that was what we got when we calculated it by hand. To get the median, I'm going to scroll down, and then it says the median is 49.95. Okay, so we did good. The calculator was a way that we could check our work. So this was 6A support and an example of how to use your calculator to work these problems.